Hello, I'm Dane, and this is Dan Explains. What? Oh, this is an injury I sustained while doing man things. Okay. I got it by walking into the end of a guide track for a garage door. It turns out they can be sharp. How someone less than 8 feet tall does that, I'll leave it up to your imagination. Although, to my credit, I was actually doing man things. Anyway, this is a video I've been planning to make since the start of my channel, but I had to wait until now. Today, the video I have for you presents a unique moral dilemma. A bit like the train car dilemma, but I think the answer at the end is a bit more clear-cut. Don't worry, I'll explain the purpose of it at the end if it leaves you asking why someone should even propose such a ridiculous situation. So, let me explain. The first thing I'd like to do is set up the situation. You own a yacht. Lucky you. Today, you're going to take someone out on a 2-hour tour. You enjoy the yacht, and you like taking people out on 2-hour tours so much, you always do them for free. Knowing how 2-hour tours can go sometimes, you always keep your yacht fully provisioned, just in case. You wait at your yacht for your client, and a lot of time passes, and no one shows up. Finally, you give up and get ready to go home. Just then, an unsavory man boards the boat with what looks to be an unconscious boy over his shoulder. You know that the boy seems to be intubated with some type of portable ventilator. Before you can ask him what he's doing, he pulls out a gun, points it at you, and informs you that you're going to take him on a tour today. After you go through the whole tour with him forcing you every step to explain everything as you would a regular client, you tell your unsavory captor that you like 2-hour tours, but not like this. You explain that because of this, you'll probably never be able to set foot on a boat again. In response, he hits you upside the head with the butt of his gun, knocking you to the floor. Then chuckles, explaining that it's a 2-hour tour for him, but he has something else in store for you. He then has to take your cell phone and your emergency radio kit and throw them in the ocean. From there, he forces you below deck to extract the yacht's radio, to then go and throw it in the ocean as well, leaving you no way to call for rescue. From there, he makes you input the destination into the yacht's autopilot that will bring you across the ocean, and then he has you disable the ship's beacon. You realize the journey will take months if it's done in such a way to conserve enough fuel to make it. He orders you back below deck and follows you down. Then he sets the unconscious boy down on one of the beds. From there, he explains that the boy is his son. He has been in a coma from birth. The mother abandoned them right away, and he has spent at least the last 5 years taking care of him. He says the reason why he's taking care of him is because the doctor said there's a 99% chance the boy will come out of his coma by the time he turns 6. However, he's fed up. He doesn't want the boy even when he wakes up. He tells you that the boy will wake up shortly after you cross the ocean, and he wants to get as far away from him as possible before he does. He then goes on to explain that he doesn't actually care what happens to the boy. He just couldn't bring himself to kill the boy or even hire someone else to do it because it's his own son. So, he devised this plan to force someone to look after the boy while he's journeying. But if bad things happen and the boy doesn't make the journey, that's fine too. You do some quick math in your head and realize that with the provisions you brought, you and the boy could both make the journey. But you would have to ration a bit. It won't be comfortable, but you won't run out of provisions by any means. Standing as far back from your captor as possible to avoid getting struck again, you ask him how he proposes he is going to force you to make this journey. To which he smirks and says, "You'll see." He explains the boy has a feeding tube, so the boy will need his food smashed up and mixed with water. But he's not leaving you with any of the tools to grind it up, except a large mortar and pestle, which you had in the kitchen. He then goes throughout the cabin, taking every item that you might be able to use to escape, only leaving with disposable plastic cutlery. He then pulls out a large, sturdy padlock and explains that it uses GPS to track down its own location. Once it reaches its destination, it will unlock automatically. Then he says, "Bon voyage," as he walks backwards out the door with the gun still pointed at you. At which point he closes the door and you hear the click of the padlock close. A few minutes later, you can hear the winch that lowers a lifeboat turning on. You peer out the tiny window, which is way too small for you to fit through, to see the lifeboat turning and going back in the direction of land. You immediately start looking for a way to get out. After you can get back on the deck, you can turn on the homing beacon, and if you're quick enough, you can drive the yacht back to shore. However, you determine that the only way is to get the door open somehow. It's way too sturdy to bash open, and you have nothing to pry with. You notice that the hinges, and if you had a skinny enough metal rod, you could pop them out by hitting the rod with the pestle you were left to grind the boys' food with in the kitchen to get the door open. However, the person who put you in there was pretty thorough, and you can't find anything like that except in one place. The boys' portable ventilator. It has a metal rod which drives a plastic plunger to compress an air bladder. The rod appears skinny enough yet strong enough to whack with the pestle to knock the hinge pins out. However, the boy will suffocate before you even have the time to get the rod out, let alone knock the pins out of the door and try to put the thing back together. Okay, wow, that was a great long setup. I know. Thanks for hanging in there, and I hope you followed along because the details are important. The conundrum is a simple one, but I'll take it in several steps. Would it be morally permissible to extract the rod from the ventilator, causing the boy to die, but getting you control over the ship before it gets too far from shore? Yes or no? How about letting the boy starve, then extracting the rod? It would take days, and you may not be near enough to the shore to drive the boat back, but you could at least turn the homing beacon on and then get found by people trying to rescue you. Would it be okay to let boy starve just so you're more comfortable on your journey, even if for some reason you couldn't get out of the cabin? Or would it be that the only mortal thing to do would be to suck it up and just take care of the boy until you reach your destination? Keeping in mind you can release the kid to the authorities once the journey is over. What moral obligation do you have to the kid? You're both in a horrible situation that's not the fault of your own or his. He's not doing anything to you. He's just there and needs you to survive. Trust him, I'm sure, if he could know the situation he was in, he would rather be anywhere else. If you take care of him, he will wake up and be a normal boy someday. Even though right now he isn't conscious, nor has he ever been since he was born in a coma. For now, basically, he's a meatbag, not a human. Should you be able to kill or neglect the boy to death to make your own misery shorter or more pleasant? I say no. This is why abortion is wrong, even in the cases of rape or incest. If you say, well, it should still be permissible because the baby is part of the mother's body and therefore is not a human, I did a video on that. Link in the description. If you say, well, it should still be permissible because the baby is directly attacking the mother's body, I also did a video on that. Link in the description. Finally, if you say, well, it should still be permissible because the baby only becomes human once it reaches a certain stage of development, I did a video on that as well, of course. Link in the description. You see, the 15th anniversary of Roe vs. Wade was this week, and that's why I'm releasing this video now. Although I certainly didn't think it would be overturned by the time I finally made this video, I think it's still quite relevant. I've come up with a version that covered all of the arguments, but that would have made this already long video even longer and more contrived. So I split them up. If this video helped you, please share it. Heck, even if you disagree with me, please share it. I'd like the feedback. Then, don't forget to press the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ding the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Also, please support me on Patreon. Link in the description. The more people support me, the more time I can dedicate to making videos like this one. So, until next time, have a great week.